Just imagine a secret hidden underground for 2,000 years that nobody has ever touched. China's famous Terracotta Army, which the world already thinks is the greatest archaeological discovery ever, is making news again. But this time, it's not about a simple soldier or a horse statue, but about a commander whose name isn't even in any history book. His face, his armor, and the weird things found around him. Nothing matches what we know so far. The most shocking thing is that the weapons and decorations he had were so advanced that the technology from back then was way beyond what we can imagine. The story doesn't end here. When the Terracotta Army was found again 50 years ago, nobody thought this would ever happen. But in the last days of 2024, while digging, something was found that seemed impossible. A single warrior, completely different from all the rest. His tomb was fancier, grander, and way more mysterious than all the others. When the archaeologists saw it, they were amazed to see strange symbols on the walls, shiny coating on the weapons, and metal that hadn't rusted even after thousands of years, like someone had made all this yesterday. Now, the biggest question is, who was this commander? Why was his identity hidden? Was he really a human being or something beyond our understanding? Get ready, because the truth that's about to come out will blow your mind and maybe even rewrite history. If you don't want to miss this mystery, then subscribe now and turn on notifications. It was 1974 in China's Shanxi province. Some farmers were digging a well in their fields because of a drought. They were looking for water, but fate had other plans. While digging, their shovel hit something hard and strange. At first, it seemed like it might be an old stone, but when the dirt was cleared away, they saw what looked like a human face made of clay, but carved so perfectly that it seemed like a real human was standing right there. This wasn't just any ordinary statue. It was a terracotta warrior statue. The authorities were called right away, and when the archaeologists started digging, what they found shook the whole world. There weren't just one or two, but thousands of clay soldiers standing underground in complete battle positions. Later, they discovered that this place was the tomb of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, and this entire terracotta army was buried. With him, Qin Shi Huang was the first to unite all of China under one empire. His rule lasted from 221 BC to 210 BC. He wasn't just a king, but also an extremely ambitious and sometimes cruel ruler. They say he was obsessed with living forever. He was so scared of death that he built a tomb with an army to protect him, so he could stay king in the afterlife. The terracotta army looks like real humans. Each statue has a different face, different hairstyle, and even their armor and weapons are incredibly detailed. It's believed that about 700,000 workers and artists worked together to create this project, and it took more than 40 years. These soldiers weren't just for show. They also had real bronze weapons made so precisely that they still look sharp and shiny 2,000 years later. Historians believe that Qin Shi Huang was convinced there would be wars in the afterlife, and he didn't want to lose there at any cost. That's why he built this huge army around his tomb so these warriors could protect him from any danger. The discovery of the Terracotta Army not only opened a hidden page of Chinese history, but also proved that even 2,000 years ago, human art, engineering, and organization were at an amazing level. And this is why today it's considered one of the greatest archaeological discoveries of modern times. When the Terracotta Army was first discovered, the biggest question historians and archaeologists had was why so many clay soldiers were made. According to research so far, its main purpose was to protect China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, in the afterlife. Back then, people believed there's another world after death where human life continues, somewhat like in the real world, and if there are wars, enemies, and conspiracies in the real world, then there could be in the afterlife too. That's why the emperor created an entire clay army for himself, so he could remain the most powerful ruler there too. The most amazing thing about these soldiers is that each one's face and expression is different. Some are looking with a serious expression, some are in a slightly stern pose, while others are standing with a slight smile. Their height, body build, even the designs of hair and beard are different. It seems like each statue was inspired by a real person. The poses of the soldiers were also chosen for war. Some are kneeling in position to shoot arrows. Some are standing with spears, and others are holding horse reins. All of this together creates a complete battle scene, as if a moment has been frozen in time. The weapons are even more surprising. Spears, swords, bows, all of these were made of bronze, and had a special kind of shiny coating that kept them rust-free even after 2,000 years. This technology seems so advanced that even today's scientists struggle to copy it. But one thing always seems strange. So many soldiers and horses, but no commander statue was ever found. No general, no special leader, just long rows of soldiers. Historians believed that maybe the emperor himself was the commander of this army, so nobody else was given the position of leader. Some people also thought that if there was a commander, his tomb or statue would be in such a secret place that it would be almost impossible to find. This is why when a commander's tomb was found recently, this discovery became so huge, it breaks the theory that had been written in history books for 50 years. Now, the question is, was this commander here? On Qin Shi Huang's orders? Or is his story something else? The 2024 discovery wasn't just luck, but the result of months of planning and years of research. The digging was happening in China's Shanxi province, in the same area as the massive tomb of Qin Shi Huang and the Terracotta army. But the site was a little away from the main tourist zone, an area that had gotten little attention until now. Since previous surveys hadn't found much worth noting, the excavation was supervised by China's National Heritage Research Team, and working with them was a special unit of the International Archaeological Association. These are people who are considered experts in high-tech surveys and digital mapping of ancient sites. The team included not just archaeologists, but also geologists, metal experts, and even historical data analysts. Basically, anyone who could help understand and document the discovery. The idea to dig actually came when a high-tech ground-penetrating radar scan was done at the location in late 2023. These scans helped see layers inside the ground without digging. The results were surprising. At a depth of about 50 feet, they saw a strange structure that was different from the other terracotta pits. Its shape was long and in a completely different pattern, like a tunnel leading to a large room. But that's not all. At the same time, the team also noticed magnetic weirdness around the site. This means there's something inside the ground that's unusually rich in metal or minerals and doesn't match the normal soil structure. What's more, some technicians reported that their sensors kept catching strange energy readings, waves and pulses that don't happen naturally. Some thought it might be machine problems, but when different devices showed the same pattern, the team was convinced that something extraordinary was hidden here. The team completely sealed off the site before digging began. Barriers all around, 24-hour security, and a cover story to keep the media away that only survey and restoration work was being done here. The excavation began in January 2024, and in the first few weeks, only soil and old terracotta pieces were found. But in the second week of March, the diggers' shovels and drills hit a very hard surface. Slowly, the soil was removed, and a thick wall made of stone and metal was revealed, unlike anything seen at any terracotta site before. By this time, the team realized this discovery was different from all the others. They put cameras into the depths, and what they saw in the blurry footage stunned everyone. There was a large room inside, and in the middle of it was something that looked like a soldier, but was much more magnificent and mysterious than anything else. This was the moment when the mission turned from a simple archaeological project into the discovery that would solve the biggest mystery in history. That morning was like any other day. But for the team, it was day 38 of the excavation, and everyone was hoping to find something special. The weather was cool, there was light dust in the air, and the diggers were deep down with their tools. Around 11 a.m., one of the workers' shovels hit something very hard underground. The sound was different. It wasn't dirt or stone. The site supervisor, Professor Zheng, immediately went down and looked at the area closely. When the soil was slowly removed, a large sealed surface made of stone and metal was revealed. It wasn't just any ordinary soldier's grave. Most of the Terracotta Army's soldiers were buried in pits made of earth and brick. But this structure seemed much stronger and more complex, as if someone had designed it to be preserved for centuries. The walls were decorated with stones in strange patterns and had a metal coating that gave them a slight shine. The most interesting thing was, There was a narrow path around the tomb that seemed to wind in a particular order. It seemed like you had to first pass some kind of test or path to get inside. Archaeologists noted that along the path were small pottery and stone pieces with strange markings on them. The pattern of these markings had never been seen at other terracotta sites. Some other clues were also found near the tomb: 3 bronze spears that were much longer and heavier than ordinary soldiers' weapons. They had golden carvings on them, and the strange thing was, these weapons were completely free of any rust, as if they were made yesterday. A stone tablet was also found. On one side was something written in raised letters. The language was ancient Chinese, but there were some symbols that didn't match any known writing system. There was another surprising discovery. At the 4 corners of the tomb were placed small clay horses that were made more intricately than the other terracotta horses. The stone used for their eyes was different and shone in dim light. This made the team suspect that these horses must have had some special religious or spiritual meaning. As the excavation continued, one thing became clear. This wasn't just any ordinary warrior. This tomb was different from all the others and was hidden much more carefully. The team understood that whatever was buried here was so important that it had to be protected from time and human interference at any cost. At that moment, every person present at the site had their heart racing. Everyone realized they were about to touch a page of history that nobody had opened for 2,000 years. And when the real door of the tomb was seen for the first time, there was complete silence. Nobody said anything, because everyone knew the story behind it was going to change history. The moment the tomb's door was opened was like a slow-motion scene from a movie. After months of hard work, when the team carefully removed the heavy stone and metal seal, a cool breeze came out from inside, as if air that had been locked up for centuries was being freed for the first time today. Everyone present at the site looked at the dark, narrow entrance. When flashlight beams fell inside, dust particles began to shine, floating in the air, as if a door to another world had opened. As the team moved inside, the walls first caught everyone's attention. There were strange symbols and drawings all around, some of humans, some of animals, and some symbols that nobody could immediately recognize. These symbols weren't ordinary decorations. Their position, their pattern, and their colors all seemed to have been made very thoughtfully. There was lots of red, gold, and black, and many figures seemed to be showing scenes of war or religious ceremonies. But the real surprise came when a large stone platform appeared in the middle of the room with a magnificent clay statue standing. On it, probably that very commander. Around him, weapons were neatly arranged and shining. Swords, spears, bows all looked like they had been made yesterday. There was no rust or wear on them. It seemed like someone had kept them safe from time by storing them in an invisible case. The metal expert on the team immediately noticed that these weapons had an extremely thin and shiny coating that seemed like some modern rust-proof technology. But how could this technology have existed 2,000 years ago? The carved designs on the bronze swords were also extremely detailed, and they were embedded with tiny gems that were glowing softly in the flashlight beam. At the bottom of the walls were arrows and arrowheads were stored neatly. The tip of each arrow was very sharp, just like new. Some of the spears were so long that only 2 people could lift them together, and their heads were covered in gold. In one corner, a large round shield was placed with a strange symbol carved on it, a kind of dragon surrounded by small stars. This design hadn't been seen anywhere else in the terracotta site, which further increased suspicion that this commander was probably connected to some special secret order or rank. There was a strange silence in the whole atmosphere. The weapons shining in the flashlight beam and the centuries-old symbols together gave the feeling that this place was still active, as if this commander was still standing ready to protect his kingdom. Many people from the team couldn't describe that moment in words, but everyone was sure this isn't just an archaeological discovery.
There's a door to the past that will take us to secrets the world had never even imagined. When the team first set eyes on the commander's statue, everyone paused for a moment. This wasn't just any ordinary terracotta soldier. His face was different. From the rest, sharp features, deep eyes, and a slight determined smile on his lips that gave a feeling of both strength and confidence. It seemed like he was looking directly at whoever was standing in front of him. And this case could break the morale of any enemy, The details of the face were so refined that every wrinkle, every line, and even the slight shine of moisture in the eyes was visible. The faces of other terracotta soldiers are similar. But this statue had a different personality, as if it was made by copying a real person. His armor was also completely different from the other soldiers. While ordinary soldiers' armor was made of simple plates and leather belts, this commander's armor had an extremely complex design. It was carved with patterns of dragons and clouds, symbols of power, strength, and heavenly blessings in China. There were traces of golden polish on the armor, and the metal used seemed stronger and shinier than the other soldiers. The design of his clothing was also special. Under the armor was a long coat with intricate embroidery with patterns like waves, mountains, and stars. These could be signs that his status wasn't just military, but also had religious or royal importance, and the biggest difference, his size. Most soldiers in the Terracotta army averaged around 5 feet 8, but this commander was about 6'12", not just in height, but his body was broader. His shoulders were wide and his arms were more strongly sculpted. His pose was also completely different, not standing straight, but slightly leaning forward as if he was giving orders or planning strategy on the battlefield. Near his feet lay a small but intricately carved sword that looked like a formal ceremonial weapon. This further made it clear that this wasn't just a warrior, but the brain and leader of the army. All these things together made it clear that this statue wasn't of an ordinary soldier, but of a person whose name may have been erased from history, but whose influence and status was so great that his tomb and statue were made separate and safe from all others. The team was now completely sure that this was the discovery that would complete the missing page. In the Terracotta Army's story, for 50 years, the team was stunned to see the weapons kept inside the commander's grave. First of all, that sword about 5 feet long, surprisingly balanced in weight, and the edge so sharp that it could cut through cloth with just a light touch, when metal. Experts tested it. They found it wasn't ordinary bronze or iron, but was made of a unique metal mixture that had traces of modern metals like tungsten and titanium. This was surprising because these metals weren't commonly extracted 1,000 years ago, nor were they used in weapons of that time. The shield was just as interesting. Round in shape with a gold-like layer on the edges and a dragon symbol carved. In the middle, surrounded by small star-like shapes, experts say this design might be related to some sky map or astrological sign that was used to decide good and bad luck during war. Besides this, there were many other weapons stored there. Spears, bows, arrows, and a strange device that didn't look like a weapon, but like some kind of machine. There were small gears and complex patterns on this device. Seeing this, some experts said it could be some kind of mechanical device, which seems impossible for that time period. There was no trace of rust on these weapons and objects. Analysis revealed there's a very thin coating on them that prevents moisture, oxygen, and bacterial reactions. That means they're completely safe from the effects of time. It's not easy to make a coating of this level even with today's technology. This is why some people are calling it unexplainable technology. As soon as news of this discovery came out, there was excitement throughout the entire research community. Experts who have been researching the Terracotta Army for the last 50 years were also shocked because, until now, no evidence of any commanders' existence had been found. This discovery was challenging the old theories that said Qin Shi Huang himself was the sole leader of the army. Major institutions like China's National Heritage Research Institute, Oxford University's Asian Archaeology Department, and Japan's Kyoto History Center are working on this discovery. Metal experts are analyzing the material of the weapons while archaeologists are trying to decode the markings on the walls and the structure of the tomb. But the most interesting thing is the differences in the initial findings. Some historians believe this commander was Qin Shi Huang's closest general who was given this honor after some special victory at the same time. Some experts believe this was a mythical or symbolic person who was hidden from real history, so the emperor's image would remain supreme. Another controversy is that the material found in the weapons and equipment doesn't match the known metal working of that time. Some scientists are even saying this technology was ahead of its time, which means either our understanding of history is incomplete or there's an aspect of it that hasn't been explored yet. This discovery is as exciting as it is questionable, and every new test, every new theory is making this mystery even deeper. After this discovery, the first theory that came up was that this commander was probably the most trusted and close to Qin Shi Huang. Old records show the emperor didn't trust his generals easily. But if there was a person who was most important in his victories and expansion of the empire, then he might have been given a special place and identity apart from the rest. The second theory is even more interesting. Was this commander the leader of a secret mission? Some experts believe there were many secret missions during Qin Shi Huang's reign that aren't mentioned in history books, that it's possible this person was involved in those missions and played such a big role that he was buried with special honors. But from here, things get even more mysterious. Looking at the material and coding found in the weapons and equipment, some scientists believe some advanced technology was used that seems impossible for that time. And when it comes to such unusual technology, theories of alien connections also come up. Some even suggest the commander might have been connected to another civilization or outside intelligence that provided technical help to Qin Shi Huang. Another strange possibility is that the statue was based on a real person, but his identity and story were deliberately erased from history. This could be due to politics, power struggles, or a secret that the rulers of the time wanted to hide from the world. If this is true, the discovery could change the course of not just archaeology, but history as a whole after such a huge discovery. It's natural to wonder, did the Chinese government reveal all the information to the world clearly? Several reports and sources suggest tight security has been put in place around the site, and only a few people have had the chance to see the actual chamber. Several media outlets claim they weren't allowed to enter the excavation site. The photos and footage that were released were also under government control. This further deepens suspicion that there might be something inside that wouldn't be politically correct to show the public. Some leaked reports say the symbols found on the weapons and walls have symbols that match modern scientific patterns or star maps. This information wasn't included in the official statement. At the same time, there's also a rumor that in the early days of excavation, some artifacts were quietly removed from the site and sent to a secret lab. Government officials say all this has been done for preservation and security, but a section of historians and researchers believe the real reason is something else. Maybe this discovery might raise questions the world isn't ready to answer yet. That means the story of this commander isn't limited to just an old tomb, but goes into politics, mystery, and perhaps the real origin of human civilization and until the whole truth is revealed. This discovery will always be surrounded by questions and speculation. This discovery has completely shaken up the story of the Terracotta army. Until now, we thought it was just a huge army built to protect Qin Shi Huang in the afterlife, but after discovering this commander's tomb, this theory seems incomplete. This means officers of special ranks in the army of that time were also immortalized and buried respectfully, or perhaps these people were part of some secret order or mission. Historians believe if this discovery is understood correctly, we'll get completely new information about the politics, technology, and war strategy of that period. It's possible that things we considered legends until now are actually true after this discovery. Excavations are also being planned on a larger scale. China's National Heritage Team and International Research Unit are preparing to scan the entire area surrounding the main tomb. At first, the focus was just on statues of soldiers and horses, but now there's a possibility that more such commanders or unique figures are hidden underground. If that happens, the Terracotta Army will turn out to be not just an army, but an entire leadership network where each statue tells a different story, different power, and perhaps a different secret. But the biggest question still hangs in the air. Who is this commander? Was he Qin Shi Huang's closest general whose identity was deliberately erased from history? Or was he a representative of a power beyond the scope of human history? And if the truth comes out, it will force a rewriting of not just Chinese history, but the story of human civilization as a whole. Imagine if we find out that even 2,000 years ago, people were using technology that's still beyond our reach today. It means the story of our progress isn't as we've been told. For now, many secrets of this discovery are still behind closed doors. What's been shown to the world is probably only part of the whole truth, and until the rest is revealed, the mystery will only get deeper. So get ready, because in the next episode, we'll go deeper to find out the truth behind the most mysterious symbols, weapons, and strange technical clues hidden in the commander's tomb, which may have been waiting to tell us something for 2,000 years. If you don't want to miss the next part of this truth, then subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because what comes next will shake your